And then it got really complicated. The grandfather rabbi begged to at least be allowed to say a traditional blessing in Hebrew at the end of the service. And when the Irish Catholics got wind of this, nothing would do but that the grandmother, who had once performed in light opera, should sing Schubert's Ave Maria before the blessing as a kind of prophylactic to the Hebrew. One side wanted a little incense used, the other wanted to have some wine in the ceremony and then break the goblet. The bride and groom could do a little but nod their heads and smile and say, whatever, to whatever was proposed. Come the great day, Saturday evening after sundown, so please you know what, the family marched into the church and sat down, dug in would probably be the more appropriate phrase, on either side of the aisle. For a time I would have given 6-5 odds in favor of a free-for-all following the ceremony instead of a reception. But I kept forgetting about love. Capital L, love. The Irish Catholics from Detroit loved the groom no less than the Polish Jews from Brooklyn loved the bride. And for very good reasons. They were remarkable young people, worthy of pride and respect, even if they didn't have a brain in their heads when it came to choosing a mate. And even the most bitter, jaundiced critic of the match had a hard time ignoring how tall and handsome the groom was, or how enchanting was the bride. And you'd have to be really blind to miss what happened during the ceremony. When the couple said their vows, it was clear they meant every word. And when the bride began to weep and the groom took her in his arms and he wept too, the whole church was awash in tears. I have seen wet weddings before, but this turned into a communal bath. The whole thing ground to a halt while everybody had a good cry, the minister included. Even Uncle Dickie, the priest, lurking up in the vestibule, lest he get contaminated by the proceedings, was seen dabbing his eyes and blowing his nose. What was happening was simple, really. Joy had jumped us all from behind about the time the bride said, yes, oh yes, yes, when the minister asked if she took this man, etc. Something very old and fine and new and good was plainly happening. Only a head or a heart of stone would have missed it. Joy! Unspeakable affirmation of something right. So we wept on for lack of words. It was then that the grandmother of the groom, the grand matriarch of the Irish Catholics, 78 years old, rose to sing Ave Maria. She did not come all this way to let her grandson down. She stood by the piano, she took a deep breath, she closed her eyes, and delivered the goods. Never have I heard the song offered with more feeling, more passion and fervor. She was magnificent. Not the scratchy, over-dramatic sounds you might expect from an aging, third-rate opera singer. No, this was the voice of a grandmother distilling her life into the music for a once-in-a-lifetime occasion to honor what she loved and believed in. When the last lovely note faded and silence held us firm, grandmother opened her eyes, smiled at her grandson, and said, there now. And the Brooklyn Jews gave her a spontaneous ovation. They all stood. They might not have known what was proper to do in a church, but they knew music, and they knew that Grandma had given it all she had, and they knew great love when they saw it. She was that kind of guy, and a standing O was called for, yeah, Grandma! Grandfather Rabbi was not about to be outdone. He walked slowly to stand close by the bride and groom. He reached out and he took their hands in his, and then, speaking for Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and all the Jews of Brooklyn, he laid a blessing on the couple that ought to last them for the rest of their lives. I mean, they were blessed. And you have to understand Hebrew to know it. So, of course, as you would hope, the Irish Catholics gave Grandfather Rabbi a standing ovation that he will never forget. Yeah, Grandpa! That's when the minister sighed a deep sigh of relief, knowing that joy had won the day, and the possibility of a happy ending to this affair was real. A happy ending. More than anything else in this life, we hope for some happy endings. And we were about to have one. What the families had not understood until the end of the wedding was that they had many of the same values and traditions despite their arguments over metaphors for ultimate things. They believed in family, faith, love, the same God, and the capacity to celebrate those things. The bride and groom rushed off down the aisle to the reception hall where a polka band was waiting. The newlyweds danced, everyone applauded. Grandfather Rabbi asked grandmother opera singer to dance. And the crowd roared and joined them, and the party was on. Never have I been to such a reception. Never was there such dancing and eating and laughing and singing long, long into the night. Magnificent. 3 days later, when my head cleared, I wondered how it had happened. I decided the skeptical minister had been wrong, and the bride and groom right. Love was more powerful than prejudice. Love won out. I don't know that I'm totally convinced, but in this case, it's what the evidence points at. The final score was love 21, evil spirits zip. When in doubt, trust those you love. All of them. Epilogue. A year later, close to the first anniversary of this amazing occasion, I received a postcard mailed from a cruise ship in the Caribbean. From the bride and groom, I thought, but no. From the parents of the bride and the parents of the groom, who have all become